Call of Duty is a mess. For years, we have gotten mediocre entries into a once amazing franchise, and it takes months for them to fix problems titles launched with. And a few days ago, of course, the NickMercs situation happened, and a lot of people actually thought that the company would ultimately apologize, that they would put his skin back in the game and try to sweep the whole situation under the rug, but it looks like they are actually doubling down now. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and to the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. Now, I did upload an individual video when this situation happened, but if you do not know, it appears Activision removed the NickMercs bundle from the Warzone and Modern Warfare 2 store. Activision at that point had not commented, but they actually went on to simply say, due to recent events, we have removed the NickMercs operator bundle from the Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone store. We are focused on celebrating Pride with our employees and our community. And it's pretty ironic that a company that's been accused of so much is trying to virtue signal over Pride Month. I mean, look at all of the sexual harassment allegations levied towards members of their company. Look at how they were accused of unfair pay. I mean, the list goes on and on when we're talking about Blizzard. Now, what he initially got canceled over by Call of Duty was a very simple statement. All this man said was, leave the children out of it. He simply responded to a tweet regarding Pride Month being promoted in schools by saying they should leave little children alone. That is the real issue. And that is what Call of Duty ultimately decided to cancel him over. Now, Blizzard is a company that is very well known for shooting first and asking questions later. They do things that they think their community will like, but they don't really think about how far it's going to go, right? If, yes, there are going to be people that might like and support their actions, but ultimately they don't look at how many people would be against what they do, and that is what has happened here, because they decided to remove his operator bundle from the Call of Duty Warzone and Modern Warfare 2 stores, and the community blew up at this. There are several larger names who are now coming to his defense, and Call of Duty can't really do anything about it. Of course, one of the most notable is Dr. Disrespect. This had happened right after Call of Duty announced the removal of, the NickMercs bundle, but Dr. Disrespect had uninstalled Call of Duty and demanded an apology to NickMercs for removing his skin. Now, Dr. Disrespect is a little bit of a biased entity in the situation, right? Because he used to work for Activision, he worked on Call of Duty games, and he is constantly, analyzing what the company is doing and what he would have ultimately done differently, but he is still a major name in the FPS space. And now, TimTheTatman has gone against them, and his skin bundle has actually been removed from the store because he had made this tweet. It's a very simple tweet, but it has definitely resonated with people. He said, @NickMercs has been my friend for years. We went in getting our Call of Duty operators together. It feels wrong for me to have mine and him to no longer have his. In support of my friend, please remove the TimTheTatman bundle. And of course, it did seem like there were contracts that were signed for these that said, either party can request the removal of the skin at any time, because of course, Call of Duty removed the NickMercs one very quickly after the situation happened, and then of course Call of Duty had to remove the TimTheTatman bundle very quickly after his tweet was made, and Call of Duty's response was very simple. They basically just said, at Tim's request, we have removed the operator bundle from the Modern Warfare 2 store and the Warzone storefront, showing that they are willing to double down on this. Now, I do think that we are never going to see these operator bundles in the game again with personalities, right? I don't think that we're going to see influencer bundles again in the future after this whole situation happened, but this is them clearly doubling down, because it's not like they have decided to say, you know what, we are going to rethink this whole situation, we're going back to the drawing board, or even rescinding their, choice to remove the NickMercs bundle, which of course millions of people at this point have voiced how upset they are at Activision. No, they are sticking with this course, and they also decided to, of course, make this tweet after everything that has happened on the official Activision Twitter account. Join us in celebrating the power of pride. Activision is excited to be part of the Los Angeles Pride Parade on June 11th. If you see our float during the Pride or parade route, be sure to say hello and share your own stories of pride and acceptance. And instead of leaving the comments open and allowing people to voice their displeasure with everything, they locked the mentions, they locked the replies. They are not allowing people to discuss this situation. They clearly are, trying to push this all under the rug, right? They're trying to act like it's not that big of a deal. This is, who we are. We love celebrating pride. We are ultimately, though, talking about a company. Activision Blizzard thought that this was a good idea. The Call of Duty teams thought that this was a good idea because they took his tweet and blew it out of proportion. All he said was leave the kids alone. And there are millions of players who have agreed with what he said, who have defended what he said. And now a lot of the biggest names playing Call of Duty are going to NickMercs' defense. TimTheTatman, Dr. Disrespect. These are people who can influence the sales of their games and the player numbers of their games. If you don't have a Dr. Disrespect with 20,000 people watching, if you don't have the TimTheTatman with 20,000 people watching, ultimately there are going to be people who are going to go, I'm going to play something else as well. And they are very upset over this situation. And instead of, looking at it and maybe going against what they did initially, maybe apologizing for once and accepting the fact that they did something that their player base doesn't like, they have decided to double and triple down. I've talked about Activision Blizzard a lot on this channel. They are not a good company overall. They are constantly doing things like virtue signaling. And it's why I'm very picky with the games of theirs that I play, the games of theirs that I do ultimately support, and I do still try to give some of their more notable franchises a chance. But in just a few months, the latest Call of Duty is going to be releasing, and I do think their sales are going to be affected by this. I do think there are going to be people who are going to go, you know what, I'm going to hold off on this release at least for a little while to see what they're actually doing with it, because another issue with Activision is that their developers are awful at fixing their games. I mean, look at something like Warzone 2 that has now been just renamed to Warzone. It has been out for 7 or 8 months at this point, and it still has major technical issues, and they're not putting the time and effort into it. They push out content, they expect people to just shut up and consume product, and then they're moving on to the next major release. And people are still very upset over this situation, and now they are facing the backlash of content creators like TimTheTatman and Dr. Disrespect over their very poor NickMercs decision. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.